Welcome to today's episode of AI in Action, where we decode the latest trends in AI, from research to profit, the Applied AI Show. Your hosts, Rajan, founder and partner at the AI accelerator EP5 and involved in AI research, and Kashi, AI researcher, startup founder, and renowned AI voice, bridge the gap between breakthrough research and business results. Rajan brings deep expertise and AI-first transformation and emerging architectures, while Kashi contributes hands-on experience with research and implementation by building and deploying AI systems across industries. Together, they decode the latest developments in AI and agentic systems and translate them into actionable strategies for practitioners, founders, and business leaders. Their mission: help you turn cutting-edge AI research into real-world ROI.
Hello
Kashi,
everyone.
what did you hack last night?
Oh no, I just couldn't get enough sleep. I saw this OpenAI thing launch. I was just going to go to sleep and say OpenAI, notification comes up and says Codex is launched. I'm like, oh shit, the night is gone and stuff like that. But got it running, up and running. It was like totally fun through the night, and then then getting up, going to office, like all the mess. Yeah. It's all about OpenAI and Codex last night, so it was truly exciting for me. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
what I
went
was
to sleep.
doing. Ah,
Why?
okay.
Because the reason is I'm like, look, they are talking about Codex, right? So, so I saw some tweets. I didn't get the
Yeah.
notification on YouTube. I'm like, look, why
Okay.
are they talking about Codex? Codex has been around, and that's the problem with OpenAI, right? Because
Mm.
they have their model named as Codex, and they have their web application named as Codex, and now they have like a desktop application named as Codex, and that is the biggest problem with at least OpenAI. I agree,
Yeah.
and I also acknowledge that given the pace at which things are changing, naming is where you cannot differentiate. In fact, naming becomes like an anti-filter or an anti-signal. If somebody's spending too much time on naming, they're not really pushing the frontier forward. So I get that part, but man, you should. It's like
Yeah,
naming all your three crates as Codex, right? So on the middle, Codex 1, Codex 2, Codex the King 4, right? So it doesn't make any
yeah.
sense. So that's why I missed it. I saw your message, and then I was like, okay, I need to catch up on the recording. Right? Then I followed through. What did what
Uh,
did what did keep you awake on Codex?
so I think we have been playing around with Claude for quite some time now, and getting it to run in agentic mode, creating tasks and running multiple agents together. That was quite a learning curve, and now comes Codex. You can create two projects, let those two projects run in parallel. And like when I saw that video out by OpenAI, it really blew my mind, and I couldn't help myself start trying it out. And I know it's probably in the very initial version. I do agree that bit Claude is still better, like getting two agents to work. But it really changed the way I started to think in terms of what does future of work look like. The pace at which it is changing, you just give 2 3 projects to it, and then it sort of helps you get your initial idea out of your head. I think that's really truly exciting. That I like that about Codex. I liked it even better than Anti-Gravity Launch. Anti-Gravity Launch was great. I mean, it had some cool features of Gemini Pro, but this was one, far more intuitive. Two, far more natural, and they also have that beautiful plugin to start the Codex back in Visual Studio Code. I think they got their product play much better than Anti-Gravity at the start, at least. Low inhibition to start, and that entire interface. Of course, there are some features missing, and I think that'll evolve. And I think the start is really great. That's what I love about Codex. I
For
mean, did you get
me,
a
I
chance to
think
try it?
none of those. I did. Like I also sort of put out for the first time. I tried out long post in Twitter. I put out a article on Twitter comparing Cloud Code Codex and OpenClaw. I would say, for the title of the article was this, right? The engine wars are over. Now it actually moves to the car. Right? So now everybody has like very powerful models. I didn't like anti-gravity, but I think the Gemini 3 Pro model was fantastic. In
Yeah.
fact, most of us don't realize that it was not Opus 4.5; it was actually Gemini, which was the step jump. And of course, like, Gemini and Opus 4.5 and Codex 4.2, sorry, 5.2, all are very similar, right? In terms of just, they are all like a step jump, but all of them are good at a model level, and which is more like an engine, right? So the engine is more or less the same. It's now about how do you design the car, like, the harness, how do you actually orchestrate all of this. For me, this is not very exciting in that sense that, a lot of people have been trying different projects. And Akash, I know you've been following some of this as well. There is the Ralph Wiggum plugin, which is about, like, running Claude on a simple loop. There are like many variation. The official version is not considered to be that great because it doesn't reset the context window. And then Stevie again put out Gastown on January 1st, and then Peter, who's the creator of OpenCloud, he's been poo-pooing all of this and saying that all you need is
He's
just
hacking the internet.
run. Run Claude on a skip version, skip mode, and run multiple loops of that, right? And just let the agents coordinate very, very simply. So I've actually seen this. In fact, a member in my team, we were working on, not on Codex, but just before this last week, on getting at least 10 agents spin up, 10 instances of Claude Pit spin up, and then coordinate with each other on 10 different TMUX screens. So that way, this was not very exciting. It was exciting. Like, few features that I liked is that they try to bring this CLI and the IDE together in a very nice way. I haven't seen a tool. I know Cursor had come up with this, but there is a diff that is possible. And that's very, very important for a developer. Like, are you able to do the diff of, like, the change that has happened? So both of them are together. So those type of features were interesting, but it didn't feel like a step jump. The comparison that I did was around Claude Code, then OpenClaw, and Codex. So I said, Claude Code is more like a Toyota car. It's a corporate version. They will tell you what you can do, what you can't do. And the whole OpenClaw is more like an open source car design, right? Anybody can do anything that they want, right? And this one is like, a great engine, but it is still a car which you can only run inside the garage, right? You can't do much more beyond this. I think, most of these coding companies are also not laying at the right level. Like 6-7 months ago, I wrote this tweet that, people that are going to make money out of coding are not the people who are actually going to build these IDs. It is those either that are going to actually lead to token consumption, which is again getting commodity. But the real money to be made is people who are going to host these applications. And that is the place where most people are not paying any attention. Microsoft is very, very smart. It is playing that game.
Right.
It made VS Code free. It said, I will even give the source code for VS Code free, right? But I will make money when everybody is going to come and use Azure, right? And that's what they're trying to make sure that happens. So that was a part that I wasn't too excited. That, like, look, you're a platform company thinking about gobbling any revenue that you can. Why aren't you thinking about making sure that, you let people deploy the application in your own ecosystem? Neither Anthropic is thinking, nor is Codex thinking in that place. And anybody who figures it out is the one who's actually going to make a lot of money. In business world, there is saying,
I
right,
think
where there is value creation.
in that search interview on that one, you must try Firebase. I think Firebase is truly impressive. I think it's one of the underdogs of this entire AI
But
coding
isn't
game.
Firebase acquired by Google?
It's by Google, yeah. But they have got a beautiful automation ID integrated. I think they have an amazing product ecosystem out there, but I think they're not talking about it enough and sort of not evangelizing it enough. But I think they have the perfect platform.
No, I know. See, a lot of application use Firebase, right? You use Firebase. I know, like, when you build, you use Firebase as a backend. I know a lot of Granola, I think, uses Firebase. A lot of applications use Firebase, and that's the whole
Their
point.
automated agent in Firebase is also amazing. They got everything right, but I think
see.
what they have not ironed it out is that, like, I'm probably want to say, like, what Codex did, like, if you have to decipher it, right? Like, in the launch, what I don't know if you got the chance to explore skills. Codex brought in skills right at the launch, right on the top. There's a skill, there's a thread, there's automations. Skills is amazing. They've got all sorts of integrations out there. What I like most is on day one, they got Sentry and Sora integrated. Sentry is for observability.
That's also
Sora is for creating video. Like, I had tried a lot to get Cloud Code to integrate with Sora or something like that. And it doesn't really do that. And now OpenAI, I think, is sort of nailed that on the skill. On the automation, I think what they did is they gave a broad idea of how to automate and schedule tasks. For example, you you can do a lot more. And if you, of course, I used to use Max native automation to get there, but now I don't need to. I can do it out of the IDE. So I mean, I sort of agree to what
So
you said in one area that, hey, they should not get into this coding game. On the other way I look at it is like they seeded an idea for all the IDEs to copy. Now I would say Gemini should like tomorrow morning copy this and just like do the same. Like, oh, they have all of it. And then I think it's setting a new pedestal and new platform in many ways, I think, all of us to look up
yeah,
to.
see,
I think
so
Codex got
one
it
thing I
right.
agree with you on yeah, on Codex, the thing that is right is about the skills, right? In Claude, it is so confusing. Nobody tells you that you need to upload a zip file, and how do you actually get started? So there is a huge onboarding issue, first time use issue with respect to skills and Claude, and that is something that they solve. So maybe that is the most standout feature on this. Getting Sentry integrated helps you with this end to end loop, making sure that the logs are coming back, and then you are able to run that loop of, okay, I
Debug
built
and
it, deployed it, there is error, and I'm
yeah,
able to sort of pass through the debugging cycle really, really fast. The point about Firebase that you said, right? That's the whole thing that I'm saying. Look at Google, right? There, I love to sort of hate Gemini CLI or even anti-gravity, not a big fan, but they get the infra right, they get the model right.
yeah,
And infra is where you're going to make the money, right? If Firebase is good, people are going to go and host in Firebase, right? And like no matter what ID they choose to use, they're going to come back and then say,
absolutely.
hey, this is where my application is going to run. So money, value capture and value creation are two different things. That's what I was going to try to say, that value creation happens somewhere, maybe in the ID it happens, but value capture that happens is when you actually host the applications, run these applications, manage these applications. And that is something that, at least these tech companies, the platform companies have to pay attention. And when I was looking at the video, I was like, okay, like how long will it take for OpenAI to realize something like that? That this is the place to actually capture the value. Maybe it is because of the partnership with Microsoft. They're saying you'll stay away from that, or so there could be some other reason and why they're not taking care of the deployment and running of the application.
I see I mean, I see both sides of the coin, but since coming back to Codex, right? What I liked is it took a fresh approach to it. Like they didn't copy a VS Code clone. I think that's one thing I loved most about. They went lot of things are ground up. So I liked it. So I would give like 9 out of 10 to Codex. But of course, like my favorite still remains VS Code with all my infinite number of plugins that I use there. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I want to spark one question, right? What Codex has opened up a possibility, like especially if you're a VC or like if you're an investor, is that now it has shown everyone a vision that one person can do more than one thing, maybe 3, 4 projects in parallel, right? And what do you think is a implication of this from what you expect from people? That's number one, and two, what does it mean in terms of team sizes? What is your first thoughts around this?
Yeah, I've been having this conversation for the last 6, 8 months, right? Many threads weave into this. One is obviously what people call as this Jevons paradox, saying when it becomes cheaper, when it becomes easier to do something, the demand for that doesn't go down. The demand for that goes up because you're going to do more. But then, the broader implication for that is a fewer number of people are required to do the same thing. So people will have to actually migrate to do different order of work, right? Different level of work for you to be relevant, right? So 1910, tractor first introduced, many farmers. You have this powerful device that can actually do work of 25 people, and few number of people are needed to do farming. But the amount of farming increases, those that were farmers before, they have to actually reshuffle themselves into doing other activity, maybe when going into other industry. That's the painful part. But then, the amount of farming that happens, and then, the amount of food that gets generated is just, sort of increase and increase, right? So that's a rough analogy. In terms of team sizes, I know a lot of people who are talking about that, compress team sizes by 5x, 10x. Not just that, more can be done by one person, because when you have a large team size, there is also coordination that is involved, right? And that coordination is the biggest tax when you actually have large team size, and especially for startups, you need to be really, really agile. The smaller the team size that you can use, the better it is. I was at a engineering conference last year. The one of the track and the team was tiny teams. There is this guy called Henry Shu. He follows. He actually maintains a leaderboard called Linear Leaderboard, where he talks about companies that have very high revenue per employee. Olive is one company. Then I follow this company called OpenAI. They just crossed 70 million ARR. With about 20 people. Last year, they were about 5 people, 10 million ARR. So revenue per employee of 1 million, 2 million, 3 million is something that these type of companies are doing. So you will find that a lot of companies which can do very efficient go-to-market, where the products are discovered themselves and the usage of the product is really, really high. Call them AIPLG. These type of companies will find this tiny teams, less than 5 people, and a lot of productivity and a lot of output that is generated. Uh, in the conference last year, Vibe conference, when I said this, a lot of people were very unhappy with me saying this. Saying, what are you talking about? But I think now it is becoming more and more real. It is dawning on a lot of people that you can use tiny teams. In fact, 2-3 days ago, I was saying this on Twitter, and people were not very happy because still we are not able to resolve this fact that you only need 3-4 people to actually do 30 people level impact. I'm not saying that everything is figured out. I'm just saying directionally that is where we are going, and that changes is bound to happen. And we're all going through this adjustment. I don't know whether you saw Gokul Rajaram's tweet. Gokul actually said the role of CPO will not be there in 3 to 5 years. Right? And then there was a debate. I also sort of waded into this, and I've been a product manager before. And product manager, do many things. But one of the most important things that product manager used to do, at least in the early years, is keeping everybody aligned into one single shared vision. Right? Dear Mr. Engineer and the CEO, are you aligned? Dear Mr. Customer and the engineer, are you aligned? Dear Mr. Marketer and engineer, are you aligned? This shared vision is what the CPO used to do. The most important job of a CPO is to actually figure out and say that how are we going to win in the market. But because he's just got tied into all this, keeping everybody aligned, they never actually did. It's now that the execution is going to be so fast, there is no difference between a designer, a product manager, and an engineer. Everybody will do a job of another person. You probably need only one builder, and that is the shift that Gokul was talking about. And Akash, another person who runs the PM community, he said, no, that is not relevant. But then somebody else made another interesting tweet. He said, what we are going to do is what we are going to design for is that we used to design for an organization which is all about humans, right? Future of work was about how do we make humans more effective. Somewhere last year, right, and there is a big inflection that happened, and Workday made the biggest change in that inflection. And they said that the future of work is human plus agent, and they started building or re-architecting their strategy around saying that future of work is future of humans plus agents, right? Where both of them are going to coexist and work together. So that means very different kind of org design. So it's not just at the engineering level, but practically, whether it is marketing, whether it is support, whether it is engineering, we're going to see future of work as human plus agent. So very, very different kind of org designs. We are going to see tiny teams. We are going to see and we have societal impact on things like this. So what should somebody take away if you're an engineer? Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I have a different take on it. So the more I think about it, I just look at the example of what's happening in let's say Maruti Suzuki or something, or Hyundai, which is or Toyota, which is automating build of the cars. So the way I look at it is number of people required to build the car is constantly reducing, but number of workshops to maintain it is constantly increasing. And I see that even more in this agentic world. Like last time we spoke about, right? The life cycle of a software used to be 3 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years, and some of the softwares I use are even 20, 30 years old. But now the life cycle of software itself is I see it to be 3 to 5 months, maybe even 3 to 5 days. They are going to come into existence and vanish even before we imagine that they even need to be there. So that's the first fundamental paradigm.
Right.
Which means the point you made, that number of builders may reduce or may become selective few, and the number of people who are required to maintain it will increase. So I go by Cognizant CEO's vision, what Ravi Kumar told, right? I love what he said. He said the rate of change of technology is really the biggest driver why service sectors companies will stay relevant even more. Of course, the shrinkage may not be There will be some compaction and some expansion in certain areas. But having said that, I strongly believe that number of people required to maintain it is going to increase. Like you require a whole new skill set. May not be the same people, maybe the same people. That's a different debate to pick up. So that's my take on it. And talking about product managers, I think they become even more relevant. So I see two paradigms emerge. One is like software, which is for humans, which probably has a screen or some sort of an interface. Now Cloudbot opened up one more domain. Like I was just think, what does screenless software look like, which was some automation code running in some backend data center server. Now that's got an interface now. Agent is that interface, and that MCP came. Now Cloudbot came, or Moltbot, OpenClaw, whatever you may call it. And now I see that, and the age of screenless software is beginning to start. And I think last 1 week is a big signal towards that. Like, hey, it's already here, and I see a lot of possibilities.
Yeah. So I think, on that part, I don't disagree with you. I think, we are both saying that, look, the builders, there might be fewer builders, but there might be more maintainers. There is going to be more complexity. I agree with that. I think, the uncomfortable part is today I'm a builder. Like there are 100 builders. I'm like, there are 80, instead of 100 builders, we're going to need 20 builders. So those 80 builders are going to have to do something else, right? What is that something else? This is like a very uncomfortable conversation, right? Because like 20 builders can actually do 500 builders worth of work. Like when they're going to use these magical tools, which is AI, now agent tech, and then they're going to be able to run many of them parallelly, and then they're going to sort of coordinate with them and get output done. So when that happens, and I think it's going to be like a very uncomfortable question, because when you look at it from a very micro perspective, it is like, everybody has to change, right? I cannot hide behind the identity that I was a product leader or a product manager. I cannot hide behind the identity saying that I was an engineering leader. I won't touch design. I follow this one amazing like designer on Twitter, right? So she was just a designer, and every designer's bane is they're stuck on help from engineer, and engineers will never care about designer. Any input comes from designer, will always be put
They
in
are
the
bad
last
engineers, I'd
in
say.
terms of
Yeah.
prioritization, right? Now she doesn't have to. Right. So now she doesn't have to wait on them. She could just go to Cloud Code, Lovable, or her favorite coding agent tool, and then she's just going to say, like, Elon, do this. And then we build this beautiful calendar, right? Where the entire experience is more about how the calendar is designed. It's not about how, like, it was built, whether it was on Next.js or whether it's in Java. It is more about, the design, and she was able to give it life because she was able to use this coding tool, and she was able to play that engineering role, which was not possible before. So everybody will have to actually redefine the role. And that is the exciting and the scary part, right? I think that is the one when you said, like, how do investors think about? I think, OpenClaw has created an inflection for sure. I called it the third inflection. I wrote a post on that. It is definitely a third inflection. The power of OpenClaw is really that it is dangerous. And today, only courageous people are checking it out, right? Because like even Claude Code, Claude Cowork, right? Both of them are available, but they all run inside Sandbox. This is something which creates the security nightmare, but that is what actually makes it possible. And people are like, look, if I have a powerful LLM running behind, and if I give it in front of a very simple, familiar user interface that I use, which is WhatsApp or Telegram or email, then this seems like a genie out of a bottle.
That's the most powerful,
and that is what is
expression. Yeah. I think nobody had thought about it.
Yeah.
We had this WhatsApp artificial AI, what I call it, AI within WhatsApp, or I'm sure you've seen it.
That never worked.
I think that looked a lot artificial. Version. Like now, this is the real manifestation of it. Cloudbot really told how can social media networks or all this, which expose AI. I think that's a paradigm shift. That's truly amazing. I want to ask, since we're on this topic, I have a open question on which we can end.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to this era of screenless software, which we call, I call this Cloudbot as screenless software, network effects were driven by word of mouth, value to humans, so on and so forth. Now, when people are thinking of network effects in screenless software era, when agentic decisions are made, what does it look like? I think it's yet to be defined. I did see some trends emerging on Moltbot, but What is your first take on it? Because I think this is going to evolve super fast in time to come.
See, on Moltbot network effect, I haven't actually spent a lot of time thinking. So I really love your thoughts on that. But I would also say that, look, the broader question for me is defensibility. Like, investors ask this question about moat. I don't like that word. I do use it sometimes. But like anybody who knows moats, they know that, it's the wrong question to ask a startup. But every startup has to think about asking that question or building that. Moat is something that you build over a period of time. I like to call this as like you need to build your defensibility over a period of time. So something that we talked about last time, one is that, in this age of user-generated software where you just wish and spec something that you want, and then in 10 minutes you can have that working. In a day and age of that, what you need is that you need to build a system which will be alive, which is that it is going to improve over a period of time, which is a feature that we see in OpenClaw, right? What it can do is it can improve its own prompt over a period of time, and based on feedback and how you configure that. So every software will have to improve over a period of time, or I like to call it as it have to be alive. One of our founder friend calls it as a product evolution factor should be greater than 1. So that is like, a given. You need to have like magical AI experience, because that is the one that will actually switch you from old paradigm that you have to new paradigm. And one of the principles in the post that I put out is that you need to go where the users are. And one of the most powerful aspect of OpenClaw is that, you can experience it in WhatsApp, and that's where people go bonkers. They're like, what? Like, on WhatsApp that I know a lot of hackers who are saying that, look, we will skip the entire WhatsApp business API and build applications on WhatsApp.
Yeah, true.
It's going to be fun to watch out how this pans out. So I, like, just on your point, I think, it is defensibility. Network effect is one way of bringing defensibility. Like, keeping your product alive over a period of time. And I think, memory is a very, very important layer, because memory is what actually brings in switching cost. And then the other thing that I would say is that you need to integrate with everything that is out there. So these are things that you need to sort of build together to compound small defensibility thing that you can put into your application. On network effect, what do you think? Honestly, I've not thought about network effect on Moltbot.
I think two trends. I'll come to Moltbot first. I see a way in which they take your Twitter ID and then sort of use a number of followers. I mean, I'm second guessing it. I don't know how true it is. The influence of the human is actually used to drive influence of the agent. So if you are not influential on Twitter, the likelihood that your agent is going to succeed on Moltbot doesn't seem to be the case. It's just a hypothesis, but I'm going to take a strong point of view on it. The second thing, you talked about a very important point, right? User experience. Now, I think there's an important paradigm that people are missing big time. What does agent experience look like? And I've been like sort of harping on it with a lot of our founder friends, saying that agent experience is not same as user experience, which means making your interface agent friendly is a whole different paradigm that we need to attack. So which lies around three things. One is definitely memory and context management. The second is like helping privacy of the owner be preserved, and then probably the task to be completed in a shorter period of time. So as you rightly told, defensibility lies around interface, screenless interface, and the knowledge and the ability to grab the context without human intervention. I think that will be the short term emerging mode, I might say. I don't know how it will hold long term, but that seems to be the mode right now in screenless
But
software.
in terms of like when you say network effects, do you mean saying me joining increases your value already being present, and that's the way it improves, right? Like if you look at eBay, more the number of sellers, more the number of buyers will come, more the number of buyers, more the sellers will come. So here you're saying that when I borrow the social credentials from the human world into the agent world, that is what helps become the agent more powerful. And
that's why I see it happening, because that's what I see it happening in Moltbot. Like human credentials is borrowed into the agent world, which shouldn't have been the case. It should have been on the merit of the agents. Of course, there are very few agents who are able to beat that. So I think it's like totally biased network. But having said that, that's for now. But when you flip that into enterprise, it'll be more value based. So I think there'll be two paradigms. One is in outside enterprise, and within enterprise, the game is going to split into two different games. But I think it's one of the fastest evolutions I've seen in last 1 week. And
See, for me, Moltbot is more like Friendster. Right? So
okay.
I feel like this is the first version, right? There is Friendster, and then there is MySpace, and then eventually comes LinkedIn and Facebook.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of pioneering arrow that Moltbot is going to take, and maybe this is not the right design pattern. Maybe it is. We'll find out 1 million people in 24 hours. Something is going right. So we'll see. So for me, this is first iteration. I'm more interested in how this evolves and how somebody else builds the next version of Moltbot and what that insight is, which nobody had thought through before, right? Because what is the
that's the
incentive
next
of
question,
the
right?
agent
Why
versus
didn't
the
Elon
human?
Musk think about it? Like he had Twitter, he had a social network based AI startup. Why didn't Elon Musk think about it?
I think he has too many things on his plate. He just acquired merge the two, right? SpaceX and Twitter.
He's now merging. So I think he should have been the first one.
He's now merging. He's realizing he has too many things on his plate.
So he needs some agents for himself. So on that note, we'll call it a wrap. This was a short one, but I think it is one of the hottest topic, Codex and Moltbot. I think which begged us to corners again. See you all in the next one. Have your questions coming, and then thanks for inspiring us.
Yeah. All right. See you guys.
Got a hot take on AI? A burning question? Let us know what you'd like us to debate next. And hey, if you want to jump in the ring with us, drop your LinkedIn link and the topic you're itching to discuss. We'd love to have you on the show.